Few animals carry the same reputation as the great white shark. Found in coastal waters across the world, they are powerful, highly efficient predators built for one thing: hunting in environments where visibility is limited and timing is everything. What makes them especially dangerous isn't just their size or strength, but how silently they can move through the water. Most of the time, if one is nearby, you wouldn't even know it. And that's exactly what makes encounters like this one you're about to see so unsettling. In the clip, a group of fishermen were standing on a pier when something simple turned into something far more serious. A fishing rod falls into the water. At first, it seems like an easy problem to solve. Recover it quickly and move on. One of the men decides to jump in. From above, the water looks calm. Clear enough. No obvious signs of danger. But what no one fully realizes in that moment is that they are not alone.
Oh. I got it. No, I'm going to the stairs.
Mark, you need to get to the steps. Just start swimming to the steps.
What?
Mark, get to the steps. Start swimming there.
What is it?
Mark, just get to the steps.
At this moment, his friends tried to stay as calm as possible, knowing that sudden panic in the water could make the situation even worse. Fast, chaotic movements might attract the shark's attention or trigger a reaction. But from the water, he had no idea what they were seeing. At first, he seemed confused, hearing his friends urgently telling him to get out and swim toward the steps as quickly as possible. He didn't understand why they were so alarmed, but the fear in their voices told him enough.
Oh, how did you not see that?
The most chilling part is how close it was. According to what his friends above said, the shark may have already been under the jetty, hidden from view the entire time. It wasn't until the man was already in the water that it became visible, meaning the decision to jump in had already put him directly into its environment. And if you stop and think about that for a moment, imagine being in open water with no protection, no clear view beneath you, and realizing that something that size is moving just a few meters away. The kind of fear that hits isn't loud or dramatic. It's instant, quiet, and overwhelming. Because at that moment, you know you're not in control anymore. Every second matters, every movement counts, and somehow, he made it out.
Well, if you saw it, then why did I jump in?
No, we saw it after you jumped in. Like, it must have been under the jetty and then came out or something.
Only after he reached safety, the reality of what just happened fully settled in. The distance between him and the shark. How easily the situation could have ended differently. How close he came without even knowing it at the time. Because that's the thing about predators like great white sharks. They don't announce their presence. They don't create obvious warning signs. When they're there, they're already close. And sometimes, you only realize it after it's too late to turn back. But not all danger hides beneath the surface. In this next moment, it comes from above. and strikes without warning. This footage was captured in Thailand in December 2017, and it shows how a completely normal walk can turn dangerous in less than a second. The man in the clip is 32-year-old Mana Rangsung Noan, a radio operator in Prachinburi. That morning, he was walking back toward his car from his office, looking down at his phone, unaware that the power lines above him were about to fail. As Mana passes underneath the cables, an electrical box suddenly explodes. Sparks burst above him, and the overhead wires collapse dangerously close to where he is standing. If he had reacted even a fraction of a second slower, the falling cable could have struck him directly. And with high voltage lines, that kind of contact can easily be fatal. Somehow, Mana manages to jump away just in time. According to reports, the explosion was caused by an electrical fault, with overheating believed to have melted nearby wires. Heavy rain in the area may have made the situation even more dangerous. Mana walked away unharmed, but the footage is still deeply unsettling because of how random it feels. There is no warning, no time to prepare, just one ordinary moment, followed by a sudden explosion above his head. And it raises a much bigger concern about exposed overhead cables in crowded streets, because for Mana, the timing was lucky. But if he had been standing just one step closer, this clip could have ended very differently. Now, at least that was over in an instant, but this next situation builds into something far more overwhelming. On November 23, 2016, the day before Thanksgiving, a fire began near the Chimney Tops Trail in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. At first, it was burning in a remote area, high in steep terrain that made it difficult for crews to reach. Firefighters worked for days to slow it down, while helicopters flew overhead dropping water onto the mountainside. But then, the weather changed. By Monday, November 28th, the region was dangerously dry, and extreme winds began pushing the fire toward Gatlinburg. That evening, gusts reached up to 87 miles per hour, carrying burning embers into the city and surrounding communities. Within hours, the fire was no longer just in the mountains. It was moving through neighborhoods. Cabins, roads, and entire hillsides were suddenly surrounded by flames. 14 people were killed, 191 were injured, and nearly 2,500 homes and buildings were damaged or destroyed. Resident Michael Luciano captured one of the most terrifying escape videos from that fire as he and his stepbrother tried to get down the mountain alive.
Oh, shit. God.
Lord.
We'll get out of it. Hit the gas.
I can't see.
You can see. Why is every cabin on fire? Fuck. I don't know about this. Dude, just started at Natty Branch. We're going the wrong way.
What?
Oh God, that was a beautiful cabin too. Not now.
As they drive, almost every cabin around them appears to be burning. The road ahead is barely visible, the air is filled with smoke, and the fire is so close, it feels like the truck is moving through the middle of the disaster rather than away from it. What makes the footage so disturbing is the helplessness of it. There is no clear safe direction, no calm road out, just flames on both sides, and the constant fear that the next turn could be blocked.
Fuck, go through it. Go through it.
I can't.
I cannot be stuck. Try it on the left side where these sticks are short, get a running start.
At multiple points, they run into fallen trees and debris in the road, turning every second into a decision that could mean life or death. If the road became fully blocked, there may have been no way out. Then, In the middle of the chaos, they come across another driver, an elderly man who rolls down his window and tells them he can't see anything.
Does this motherfucker want to die here? What the f is wrong with you? Go! Get the fuck out of here!
In that moment, the escape becomes even more tense. The man eventually pulls to the side and follows Michael's taillights down the mountain, using them as the only guide through the smoke and fire. Somehow, against everything around them, they make it to the containment area with only minor damage to the truck. Even more incredibly, their cabin survived with very little damage, despite the flames surrounding the area. But watching the footage, it is easy to understand why this escape stayed with people. Because the camera can show the fire, the burning cabins, and the trees collapsing across the road. But it can't fully capture the heat inside that truck, the lack of oxygen, or the fear of not knowing whether the road ahead still exists. For Michael and everyone else trying to escape that night, this wasn't just a drive down a mountain. It was a race through a burning town with no guarantee they would make it out alive. Now, after something so overwhelming, you'd expect the next moment to be calmer, but appearances can be misleading. Rock fishing is often seen as one of the most peaceful ways to spend time by the ocean. Standing on the edge of the coastline, surrounded by open water, waiting for a catch, from a distance, it looks calm, almost relaxing. But that calm surface can be incredibly misleading, because the ocean doesn't always show its danger right away. A rock ledge can seem stable, the waves can look predictable, the conditions can feel safe enough. But that's exactly where the risk begins, and that danger became painfully clear for these next two men, who went rock fishing expecting nothing more than a calm day by the ocean. From the surface, the conditions didn't look extreme. The waves seemed manageable, the rocks steady enough to stand on. But like so many situations out there, the risk wasn't obvious at first. It was building quietly in the background, and within moments, what started as a normal outing would turn into something far more serious. A situation where one wrong step or one unexpected wave could have changed everything.
It's a big one. Wayne. Shit. Look out! Shit. Alright, snap me away. Come up, come up, come up, come up. Hang on. Stay there, Wayne, don't forget about it! Forget about it! Come on, Wayne. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Ah, me. Here comes another one. Dead man walking. Come up, come up.
As you just saw, the conditions were anything but calm. But despite the waves crashing over the rocks, the man still decided to move dangerously far out, placing himself in a position where one wrong step could have been fatal. In the end, it was only their belongings that were swept away by the water. But he may not have realized just how lucky he was, because if he had been pulled in instead, the chances of survival would have dropped dramatically within seconds. What many people don't realize is that rock fishing is considered one of the most dangerous coastal activities in the world. In Australia alone, Surf Life Saving reported 192 rock fishing-related fatalities between 2004 and 2019, averaging around 13 deaths every year. And that's only one country. In places like New South Wales, rock fishing is one of the leading causes of coastal drownings, with many incidents happening in conditions that didn't initially seem extreme. The danger isn't always obvious. It's not always about huge waves or storms. Often, it's the sudden change. A single larger wave, sometimes called a rogue wave, coming in from a different direction than expected. One moment, the rocks are dry. The next, they're covered in water powerful enough to knock someone off their feet. Once someone is in the water, the situation escalates fast. And this next clip is another great example of that danger, where the man behind the popular YouTube channel CreepyVids found himself suddenly caught off guard, as what looked manageable moments earlier quickly turned into a dangerous surge of water around him.
Here we go. Woo! Ready? Go! Woo! Woo! Oh! I just got so smoked!
Even as a seasoned professional, waves like these can become dangerous without warning. He was lucky he wasn't pulled back into the water, especially being completely alone in such a remote place, where help would have been far away. But in his own words, this is what he loves doing most. And maybe that is part of what keeps people coming back. The adrenaline, the challenge, and that thin line between control and danger. Still, situations like these don't always give you time to react, and they don't always give you a second chance. Luckily, in these cases, it ended as a warning. But not everyone gets that outcome. Because with rock fishing, the real danger isn't always the wave you see coming. It's the one you never expected at all. It's clear the ocean is unpredictable, but this next moment shows a completely different kind of unpredictable threat. This disturbing incident took place around 7 a.m. on May 18, 2021 in West Pensacola, Florida. 11-year-old Alyssa Bonal was waiting for her school bus near Old Corey Field Road and Perdido Street when a white Dodge Journey slowly entered the area. At first, nothing about the moment looked immediately dangerous. Alyssa was alone, kneeling in the grass, waiting like she probably had many mornings before. But the vehicle didn't just pass through. It circled back. The driver pulled near the edge of the roundabout, unaware that his car, including the license plate, was being captured on camera. Alyssa looked toward the vehicle several times, but at that moment, she still had no way of knowing what was about to happen. Then the driver stepped out. In seconds, the situation turned into every parent's worst nightmare. The man rushed toward her and tried to drag her back to his car. But Alyssa fought with everything she had and refused to go with him. During the attack, the man lost his balance, and both of them fell to the ground. That brief moment gave Alyssa the chance she needed to break free. The attacker ran back to his vehicle and drove away. Investigators later identified the suspect as 30-year-old Jared Paul Stanga. Police said he was armed with a knife, and when they arrested him later that day, they found blue slime on his arms. Slime Alyssa had been playing with while waiting for the bus. Incredibly, that small detail helped as more evidence to link him to the attack. Detectives also learned the Dodge Journey had apparently been freshly painted, likely in an attempt to avoid being recognized. Even more disturbing, Alyssa had reportedly told her school weeks earlier that a man in a white vehicle had approached her at the bus stop and spoken to her. After the attack, Stonga was charged with attempted kidnapping of a child under 13, aggravated assault, and battery. Alyssa survived, but what happened that morning shows how quickly an ordinary routine can turn into something terrifying. 1 minute, she was waiting for school. The next, she was fighting for her life. And that takes us from a threat you can run from to one where escape isn't always that fast. Caving is one of those activities that captures something most people never get to experience. It's quiet, isolated, and completely removed from the outside world. Beneath the surface, there are entire systems of tunnels and chambers that have taken thousands, sometimes millions of years to form. For many, it's not just exploration, it's curiosity, challenge, and the feeling of stepping into a place few people have ever seen. But that same environment is also what makes caving so dangerous. Unlike most outdoor activities, caves don't give you easy exits. Once you're inside, you're dealing with tight passages, unstable terrain, complete darkness, and conditions that can change without warning. And while getting stuck is one of the most well-known risks, there's another danger that is far less forgiving: water.
Here goes Cal. Up the waterfall. Yeah! Wow, it's not too bad. Yes! Up the waterfall we go!
The footage in this video comes from the YouTube channel Caveman Hikes, known for exploring some of the most extreme cave systems out there. In this particular expedition, the team heads deep underground, navigating narrow passages and larger chambers as they move further into the system.
So this is a tree cast that I'm crawling through. And the neat thing about this thing is the print on it is just really nice. It's a nice small one, so crawling through it will give you a little claustrophobia if you suffer from such conditions. So this is the transition from the erosional, or from the lava cave to the erosional cave. And this is done by sliding oneself under the lava ceiling, basalt, through this sandy floor to the pit of despair.
Oscar leads the cavers in their continued descent into the erosional cave. The sand crawl was previously dug open by the cavers, connecting the lava tree casts to the watery cave below.
Saw Oscar disappear down there so quickly. I just couldn't keep up because he's got to slip down in. And that's the way it is. Okay, let's see what we got ourselves into here. We call this the canyons. And this is where the water has eroded this cave all the way down to where there's almost nothing. I mean, where it's like 10, 12 feet deep. Cool.
At first, everything seemed manageable. The cave opened up in sections, revealing impressive formations and space to move. But caves don't always stay the same for long. As conditions shifted, water began to build inside the cave. And that's where the situation became far more serious. Because flooding inside a cave is not like rising water on the surface. There are no clear escape routes, no easy high ground, and no way to predict exactly how fast things can change. A passage that was dry minutes ago can suddenly begin to fill, cutting off the way back. And once water starts moving through tight tunnels, the danger increases instantly.
And it's raining outside, so this cave is filling up with water. Have you ever wondered what it's like? What happens if it rains and the cave fills with water? That is happening in here right now. Yeah, we're with our tour cave tour guide. I don't know. We make up 90% of it. You have a map in your head, that's the problem.
Oh, yeah.
Your memory map.
I made the map.
Yeah.
The cave has struck its first blow. Caveman has taken rocks and mud to the face. Without proper caving headgear, this could have halted the expedition. But they move on.
I knocked a couple big rocks down. I know that time.
The deepening water is now turning the cavers away. They can gain passageway, but only if they are willing to swim. I volunteered to continue as far as I could through the flooded passage.
I'm gonna crawl out this water hole. That's the way it is. I don't know the way here. I know what I'm looking for. Ain't that way. Yeah, I gotta go down the creek. There is no other way. It is going to be waterworks.
Strong currents can form in confined spaces, turning narrow passages into traps. Visibility drops. Movement becomes slower. And the deeper you are, the harder it is to get out in time. In some cases, cavers have only minutes to react before sections become completely impassable. That's what makes moments like these so intense. Because unlike being stuck or getting lost, where there may still be time to think and plan, rising water removes that control. It forces decisions under pressure, with very little room for error.
Woo! That's pretty cold. That is gonna have to be okay. I can get to the side here a bit of these rapids. And then it's just a pool of water. It's a big swimming pool in here. That's certainly interesting.
As the floodwaters rise, a caver must make a rush through the water tunnel in hopes of reaching higher ground before the passage is sealed off completely, battling both cold temperatures and the possibility of getting stuck underwater. I prepare to make a dash for it.
Oop, there it is. I see him. I'm out! Okay. Trying to keep the flashlights above the water too, although everything I have today is waterproof. Except for the battery in my pocket, but it's in a couple plastic bags. Did it survive? You know, that seems like a 50-50 proposition. Okay, now I'm through the ponding, and now there's a little bit of water up here. I still gotta just commit to. Whoa, that's really something. My gear worked good though, my minimal gear. I have my flashlight set up a little bit differently. You know, just however it turned out is how it turned out, but I feel like it carried well. I was able to hold this. My left arm is getting real buffed from holding the GoPro in such a way. So after this, there's no more squeezes. It's the canyons, and then back to the surface where it's freezing outside. So a nice cool hike home, and we be doing this, man. Woo!
As soon as the group was together again, they headed for the exit with haste. Time was running out, and every minute underground mattered. A passage that was still open in one moment could become dangerous or impossible to cross in the next. Luckily, they managed to get out before the situation escalated any further. But the footage remains a powerful reminder of how quickly things can change underground. Because in caves, the biggest dangers are not always the ones you can see coming. Sometimes, they're already on their way before you even realize it. In that cave, it was rising water closing in from every direction. But in this next video, it's the same element, just in a different form. And then, after what must have felt like an endless struggle, he finally reached the shore. On October 27, 2018, what began as a normal match day at Leicester City's King Power Stadium turned into one of the darkest nights in modern football history. The match had just ended. Fans were leaving the stadium, the noise was fading, and the usual post-game atmosphere still hung in the air. For most people there, it was just the end of another football evening. But inside the stadium, Leicester City's owner, Vichai Srivardhanaprabha, was preparing to leave. To the outside world, Vichai was a billionaire businessman. But to Leicester fans, he meant something far more personal. He was the man who had believed in the club, invested in it, and helped lead Leicester City to the impossible, their Premier League title win in 2016. To many supporters, he wasn't just an owner. He felt like part of the club's family. That night, Vichai boarded his helicopter with 4 others on board: Nusara Suknamai, Kaviporn Punpere, pilot Eric Swaffer, and Isabella Rosalachowicz. The helicopter lifted off from the pitch, just as it had done many times before. At first, nothing seemed unusual. It rose above the stadium lights, leaving the ground behind in what looked like a routine departure. But only moments later, something changed. The aircraft began to spin. At first, it may have looked like a normal turn, but within seconds, the movement became faster, sharper, and clearly out of control. The helicopter drifted away from the stadium, rotating violently as the people below watched in confusion and horror. There was almost no time to process what was happening. One moment, it was a familiar sight above the stadium. The next, it was falling. The helicopter crashed just outside the ground, in a nearby car park, and burst into flames. People rushed toward the wreckage, desperate to help, but the fire was too intense. The scene that followed was chaotic, helpless, and devastating.
Get back! Everyone get back now! Get away! Just keep an eye on everyone. Yeah. No, mate, you don't come down. Yeah, I saw it. I was just sitting in my car, really. I was just sitting here. I tried to get in there, but I couldn't see anyone. Even the pilot was out of his seat. Just stay back, please. Yeah, sure.
All 5 people on board were killed. In the hours after the crash, the shock spread far beyond Leicester. Fans gathered outside the stadium in silence, leaving flowers, scarves, shirts, and handwritten messages. Many weren't just mourning a club owner. They were mourning someone who had changed the identity of their club forever. Investigators later found that the crash was caused by a failure in the helicopter's tail rotor control system. In simple terms, the tail rotor helps stop a helicopter from spinning uncontrollably. However, in the footage, you can clearly see something come away from the aircraft moments before it starts rotating violently, a chilling detail that immediately shows something has gone catastrophically wrong. Some reports noted that what appeared in the footage were sections of the tail rotor coming off in midair. But officially, investigators traced the crash to a mechanical failure inside the tail rotor system, which caused the pilot to lose control of the aircraft's rotation. Years later, the tragedy is still being discussed. Vichai's family has filed a £2.15 billion legal claim against Leonardo, the company that made the helicopter. Leonardo has denied wrongdoing and says it will defend the case. But beyond the investigation, beyond the lawsuit, and beyond the headlines, the footage remains chilling because of how ordinary it looks at first. A helicopter lifting off after a football match. A routine departure. A moment nobody expected to remember. And then, within seconds, everything changes. For Leicester City, the crash became a permanent scar in the club's history. For the families of those on board, it was the sudden loss of people who were supposed to come home that night. And for everyone who watched it happen, It was a reminder of how quickly life can shift from normal to unthinkable. That's all for today, folks. If you'd like to see more of this creepy content, click on the video on screen.